Hey, we're out here doing an inspection today. A homeowner reached out to us through social media, said they've been having some issues, some leaks, wanted somebody to come out and take a look at it. And I kind of worked with the homeowner through social media, talked to him, and I really felt that this roof was more than likely a condensation issue with the timing and what they were explaining to me. Sent out Jeremy out here to do an inspection of this property, and when he sent me photos, I said, hey, I want to come out and make a video on this place because it's way, way worse than I thought it was. This roof is approximately 4 years old, installed by a different contractor, but they're not taking care of that homeowner. It's kind of one of those horror stories you hear about where you've had issues, they don't answer the phone, don't call you back, don't take care of it, so here we are. Some of the things we're finding is all the flashings were reused on some of these major penetrations like this chimney here. There's nails that are under-driven that are sticking way out where you can wiggle the flashings up and down. They're not even really holding anything. You've got some of the fasteners these are kind of nailed in. They're almost nailed down where they're supposed to be, but there's no sealant over them. So you've got these rusty nail heads sticking out. And a major concern is you've got this flashing it's barely attached to the house at all. So if you have wind-driven rain, it's going to blow right up under here into the roof system. You're going to have some leaks. And yeah, there's going to be kind of a series of these, so we'll jump around and we'll show you the next section. Another section of the roof here that we're looking at in that same inspection, what you're going to see is all these chalk marks running up here in a very uniform pattern going up the roof. They're approximately every 4.5 to 6 inches, which if you read the wrapper on your shingles on pretty much any manufacturer, they've got the instructions right on the wrapper to teach you not to do this exact thing we got going on here. This is called zippering. Anytime you have all of these stair steps in this uniform pattern, if something ever comes off in the wind, you know, this is stuck down pretty good, but if you ever have that wind event, it gets started, it'll come off like a zipper all the way up the roof. You'll lose an entire section. The other thing is you're definitely more leak prone in this situation when you don't do a proper stair step in your series. But basically every section of this entire home is installed incorrectly when it comes to the manufacturer's specifications on their actual shingle pattern in the roof system. So we just kind of marked it out, and it's something you can find online for any shingle that you're looking at. They'll have the manufacturer specifications, easy to follow. So as a homeowner, if you ever have a question about that, and you see them going every 6 inches all the way up your roof without a break in the pattern, it's an incorrect installation and you should not do that. The other thing that jumps out right here in this section is this is another spot where there is no fasteners, not one fastener in this flashing. And this is the old flashing from the previous roof, and then the siding company came in and added another flashing above, but there's no sealant, no flashing nailed down, nothing. So again, wind-driven rain is going to blow right under here, leak back into the roof system and cause issues all over the place. Here's another section of that roof in this inspection that this one's pretty wild. It looks like what they tried to do is reuse all the flashing on this chimney. I'm guessing this is supposed to be a one-piece metal pan that comes out from the chimney, and they decided to roll their ice and water shield out over top of that metal and then leave that exposed to the sun. That's why you see so much of this turning white. It's actually the fiberglass mat starting to show through because the asphalt's wearing off. Ice and water shield is never supposed to be exposed to UV rays. You're always supposed to have a weather covering, a shingle, a modified Benjamin product, some sort of cover product over the top of this. This is all going to break down, and it's basically useless when you lay it out in the sun like this. Here's another section. It's another one of those dormers where there is no sealant, no nails holding the flashing down, nothing. It's another area where wind-driven rain could easily get into this roof system again. It's kind of a broken record. It seems to be all over the entire home. Nothing was installed properly when it comes to the flashings. Okay, another section we're noticing in the pipe flashings. It looks like these were probably replaced. Like I said, I think this roof was about 4 years old, so there's a little bit of weather checking, but these still look pretty good. They just didn't put any sealant over any of their nails in these flashings, and there's some other things I would look for, but we don't want to lift up the shingles and do those things. We might do more harm than good in the inspection process. We're trying to leave some of those things alone. The one thing, not the roofer that just did this roof, but the roofer prior did something I love, painted the pipes. We do that, love doing that. They clearly skipped that step when they did it this time. That's why the paint lines don't match up with the new flashings. But No sealant on the nails, same zippering problem. I don't have it labeled here, but this area, I don't know if the roofer, if he ran out of shingles at the end of the job and then they just skipped this last row, but you've got all the sealant showing and all the nails showing of this top course of shingles. They reused the drip edge on this entire job, which we don't do. I hate to see that, but this looks like it's been uninstalled and reinstalled. It's bent on a few of these where they must have thrown it off the roof and then realized they needed it back on the roof. But it looks pretty much atrocious. I mean, you got two different brands and paints on this particular section, and I've seen that in a couple of them here. The big thing with the drip edge on the rakes, they reuse the drip edge, so you couldn't put the felt down like you're supposed to and then put the drip edge over it. They had to kind of slop it over the top, where now it's able to have wind-driven rain blown underneath of it and get into your roof system again and cause more problems for this homeowner down the road. Here's another section. I did not have a chalk line up here with me. I just kind of measured down and marked it with our chalk stick like we're marking some of the other issues as we're finding them. This one, yeah, all you guys got to do is measure down from the ridge of the roof, put some marks on it, snap some lines so that way you don't put on your shingles like a smiley face or whatever this kind of is. But you can see where this is actually a straight line that's marked at 5 feet, and you can see how it kind of falls off the shingle by this end, and it's about 1/2 to 3/4 of the way through the shingle on that end. So in 5 feet it's off about 5 inches, give or take, and it's something that's pretty easily avoidable. It's not going to cause a leak. It just looks bad as you kind of go up the roof and you realize that you're trying to cheat the shingles to get it straight by the ridge. But just something that stood out when we were walking over the ridge here coming up. This section here, I don't know how well you can see it. Maybe we'll get a picture of it and drop it in. But like the series like I was talking about, for in between each shingle, you got some of these that are kind of a little bit humped up where they overlap the shingles a little bit. But here you can see like the distance on this line, it's only 4.5 inches from one shingle seam to the next. And then on this one, it's only 4 5/8. This one, it's only 5 inches. I don't know all the Owens Corning specs off the top of my head, but 6 inches is probably the minimum you're looking for there, maybe 5 5/8. So all of these are below spec and would not meet the manufacturer's specifications for installation. But again, this is another one of those easy things as a homeowner. You can find this on the wrapper, use a tape measure, double check, and then you know this wasn't done right. This one is a prime example of zippering. This is exactly why you're not supposed to do that with your shingle series. You've got a 6-inch offset, or roughly, just measured through some of them. They vary from 5 3/8 to 6 1/4 in this section. They kind of bounce back and forth because the guys, when this got installed, they didn't snap their vertical lines to set their series, and they weren't using a tape measure. They were just kind of, maybe they shut their good eye and nailed them on. But this is something you don't want to do because you're going to have, at some point, you're going to have a wind issue where it's going to catch a shingle and it's going to just run right up the roof and take off, 30, 40 shingles at a crack. There's one other kind of major thing as we're going around this house, and it kind of plays into the original thought process I had with this project. When the homeowner originally called in with their concern, I thought it was a ventilation issue. I thought it was condensation. And now coming out and look at the roof, as you watch all the different parts of the video and areas, there's not one piece of exhaust ventilation on this entire house. There's no ridge vent on any section. There's no box vents on any of the sections. There's nothing. So I do kind of stand behind that. I do think that there is condensation issues here. It's just now after Jeremy coming out and doing the inspection, clearly there's way more issues than just a lack of ventilation. But it seems like this project probably never should have passed inspection. I'm kind of surprised that this it got okayed, or whatever the situation is. I don't know where the city's at on this one, but there's no ventilation anywhere. I'm assuming some of this has to be ventilated, even if some of it is a hot roof system. There's got to be ventilation somewhere, and this house has none. And that's something that's easy as a homeowner. If you're getting a project completed and there's no vents on your ridge and there's no vents in the field, near the ridge, it got missed. Unless you have a spray foamed hot roof, you need to have ventilation in your roof system. So if you need your roof looked at, give us a call at Fairmont Roofing, 507-236-4928, or check us out at fairmontroofing.com. We'll send one of the guys out like Jeremy did on this particular project, came out free of charge, inspected this roof, found a couple notebook pages full of deficiencies, and now we're going to try and help the homeowner work to some sort of a solution as to how they're going to get this thing fixed. Thanks for checking in.